Good evening. Let's quickly move on now to the top story that we are looking at. It is a piece which has emerged in the Panchjanya with the BJP's ideological mentor. The RSS has distanced itself, in fact, from that piece, published in their mouthpiece, that questioned whether an anti-national conspiracy could be behind glitches on India's tax filing websites handled by the information technology giant Infosys. In the latest edition of the RSS's mouthpiece, a 4-page cover story on the Bengaluru-based firm founded by Narayana Murthy asked whether anti-national power is trying to hurt India's economic interests through it. Today, the RSS spokesperson Sunil Ambedkar tweeted that the views expressed in the piece are not of the organizations but of the authors. But as the publisher of the Panchjanya, is the RSS not accountable for the message it sends when a piece like this appears? Jairam Ramesh, the senior Congress leader, has been tweeting about this. He joins us now. Thanks, Mr. Ramesh, very much for being with us. You know, it wasn't really an opinion piece, was it, Mr. Ramesh? It seemed to be a rather direct attack on one of India's finest companies and on Narayana Murthy, whose contribution to Indian industry has been monumental. Should there be a divide? Should there be some wisdom whereby companies are not targeted in this manner? How does it help us?
Well, you know, I speak not as a congressman. I speak as an independent professional who's worked in government, worked outside government, and as an economic commentator. I think this attack on Infosys is extraordinary. It's unprecedented. It's unwarranted, and it's atrocious. Whatever problems that the finance ministry may have with Infosys on the GST platform or the income tax platform is between the Ministry of Finance and Infosys to resolve. But for an RSS publication to resort to a personalized attack on not only the company, but also some of the most esteemed founders of the company, I think is just absolutely condemnable. And in fact, the article is anti-national.
Mr. Ramesh, the fact that they've now actually come out with a statement, they've tweeted saying that the views in the article don't represent the RSS's perspective. Is that something you accept?
This is typical RSS, you know, good cop, bad cop routine. Why did they allow this article to appear? It's a 4-page article. Yeah. It's a vituperative article, personalized article, which has appeared in the party mouthpiece. So, I mean, I'm afraid this defense by the RSS spokesman is completely, it just doesn't hold any ground. It doesn't hold any water.
Because the publisher has to be accountable for what goes on to their publication.
Coming after a similar vituperative attack on the Tatas,
yes.
For example, by no less a person than Mr. Piyush Goyal, who is an industry and commerce minister, shows that, the relationship between this government and industry is a relationship between this government and a few cronies. It's not a healthy relationship between government and business. It's a relationship between government and a few businessmen.
It's strange. One of the groups you named has actually been a very large contributor financially to the BJP in the past.
I found it really, I found it very demeaning and diminishing personally to see Mr. Narayana Murthy being attacked the way he was attacked. I mean, if I were to name who are the 3 or 4 makers of modern industrial entrepreneurial India, Narayana Murthy would be amongst the top.
Yep.
I mean, he's a man who's built Infosys, a man of extraordinary ethical values. And for him to be accused of supporting Naxalites and the Tukde Tugde gang and, the left liberals, I mean, this is completely bogus. But this is par for the course as far as the RSS and the BJP is concerned,
Yep.
this was one of the... article is not incidental, it's not accidental. It's
right.
not incidental,
Right. One of the quotes in that article was, one of the promoters of Infosys is Nandan Nilekani, who contested Lok Sabha polls on a Congress ticket. The Congress's founder, Narayana Murthy's opposition to the incumbent government's ideology is not hidden from anyone. Infosys appoints people subscribing to a certain ideology on important posts. If such a company gets important government tenders, won't there be a threat of influence from China and the ISI? I found this to be the most astounding statement.
I have known Nandan Nilekani for over 40 years. We went to the same school, the same college. We were part of the quiz team. We worked together. Yes, he was the Congress candidate in 2014, but he took retirement from politics after that election. He has been called upon by the Modi government to serve on various expert committees. He's on an expert committee on open e-commerce, which has been set up by the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. So, Mr. Nilekani is a professional. He's chairman of the board of Infosys.
Does it sadden you, Mr. Ramesh, that NASSCOM hasn't come out with a statement?
One of the very former senior executives of Infosys, Mr. Mohandas Pai, he has tweeted and saying that this attack betrays a complete lack of understanding in the manner software contracts, big software projects are executed.
NASSCOM hasn't come out with a statement, CII hasn't come out with a statement, FICCI hasn't come out with a statement condemning this.
What can I say? I can't speak on behalf of Indian industry. They should speak up. They should speak out. Of course, business must follow the rules of the land. Of course, business must follow, labor laws, environment laws, and all the laws that have been passed by Parliament. But this type of an attack that Panchajanya has resorted to, and of the attack that Mr. Piyush Goyal mounted a couple of days ago, I think is something that Indian business must stand up. It's their credibility, their integrity is being questioned.
Is it your sense
I don't want to make this into a political issue. I'm a Congress MP, but I speak not as a Congress MP alone. I speak as a professional Indian, as somebody who knows Infosys fairly well, who's worked in government, who's executed contracts. Incidentally, I was the rural development minister when the Aadhaar project was launched, and Mr. Nilekani and Ram Sevak Sharma, who's now working on the national health, CoWIN and other projects. I worked very closely with them. We had problems. We resolved the problems bilaterally. We resolved the problems amicably. But this is absolutely no way of treating a company which has really transformed India's image after 1991.
Mr. Ramesh, the article said, and you mentioned this, Naxalites, leftists and Tukte gang, they are apparently of that, they're apparently like that. NASSCOM, FICCI, CII hasn't condemned this. Is there a sense in that article, and perhaps that's what the RSS feels, that if you're corporate India, then you need to subscribe to a particular ideology, and if you don't do that, then you're Naxalites, leftists, you're not like us, and therefore Tukte gangs.
Who
either get on the highway or our highway, or you're not one of us. Is that the sense?
Who are these people to give certificates of patriotism? The RSS never participated in the Quit India movement. The founder of the Jan Sangh did not participate in the Quit India movement. These people did not participate in the freedom movement, and now they're giving certificates of patriotism and nationalism. I think the Prime Minister must stand up and must say that this is not something that the government subscribes to, if at all he means it. But Vishnu, my view is that this government, the RSS and the BJP, operates on a good cop, bad cop routine. There's a good cop and there's a bad cop, right? So they set up Panchajanya to raise all these real bogus issues, in my view. And you're absolutely right. This is one way of intimidating. I've often described, this government swears by FDI, but FDI is not foreign direct investment. FDI stands for fear, deception, and intimidation. It's fear, deception, and intimidation. That's the real FDI. And Indian industry must worry about this FDI.
Now that you're with us, I must ask you another question. It's an important political development which is taking place in Muzaffarnagar in UP today. It's a Samyukt Kisan Morcha. It's a massive Kisan Mahapanchayat. It comes obviously ahead of the UP elections. How does the Congress actually view this? Do you believe that the issue of farmers ahead of the UP elections is something that the Congress party will actively raise, perhaps associate yourself with this Mahapanchayat going forward?
Well, 14 opposition parties, leaders of 14 opposition parties have written to the Prime Minister in May. We have raised this issue in Parliament. The 3 black anti-farmer laws that were passed, in a draconian, in a dictatorial fashion, without, allowing the division of voting in the Rajya Sabha on the 20th of September 2020. The leaders have called for the repeal of these laws. You repeal these laws and have a broader process of consultation, bring a new set of laws, bills, get it scrutinized by the standing committee, have a discussion in Parliament. But that is a demand that we have been making, the farmers' organizations have been making, and we have made it.
But what about a political alignment ahead of UP? What about a political alignment ahead of UP?
These 3 laws that were passed without discussion, without legislative scrutiny, without voting, they were forcibly rammed through, bulldozed through both houses of Parliament. 14 opposition parties have written to the Prime Minister on this.
But do you see any scope for a larger political alliance? Do you see Rakesh Tikait possibly representing a political force going into the UP elections that the Congress party or the opposition in the state can ally with in a substantive form?
Are venting their anguish, they are venting their frustration. And we are with the farmers' organizations. We are demanding, we have been insisting that the 3 farm laws, they shouldn't be farm laws, they are basically 3 anti-farmer laws. They should be repealed. And a new set of bills should be put forward, which will be debated and discussed, first in the standing committee and later in both houses of Parliament.
All right, Mr. Ramesh, thanks very much for being with us, sharing your thoughts, not just on the Infosys issue, but on this huge gathering of farmers as well and what it means. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you, Vishnu.